Hello everyone, Magdalena here, Wealth of Kinds. Thank you so much for tuning in. At the beginning, I apologize if you can hear some noise in the background because we have a construction outside here and it's been tormenting me for many weeks now and they just won't stop. So, and I really wanted to talk about this special day today to you, so yeah, I cannot wait until they are gone because then I won't be able to record the video. Anyway, to everyone who celebrates happy Samhain, happy Halloween, and maybe some of you who are watching celebrate Dziady today, as I do. I celebrate the Slavic holiday that has various names in various regions of the Slavic world, but in my region it's called Dziady and Baby, because Dziady is forefathers and it's much more like known. But there also used to be ceremonies for foremothers, so Baby. And I celebrate them both because, yeah, we need balance in everything, right? So for Slavic people, oh yeah, and I won't cover the whole topic because it's too huge. I will just talk a bit about it so that maybe you will find it interesting. So in most major celebrations, the ancestors had been revered by Slavic people. For example, there are a lot of Christmas customs related to that. If you're interested, you can check out my video about Polish Christmas and its pagan roots. It's on this playlist, Slavic pagan stuff. And yeah, we think that Slavic people might have celebrated their ancestors even 6 times in a year. So it was a very important thing, part of their spirituality. As so also like Easter has some connections to ancestor worship and so on. We believe that there were 2 major celebrations of the ancestors, and that was the beginning of November, so-called autumn Dziady, so Dziady jesienne, and another celebration at the beginning of May. So in Celtic tradition it would be Beltane, I believe, and so-called Dziady wiosenne, so vernal Dziady. For example, we still have this celebrations in Belarus called Radunica, and yeah, and it happens in spring and it's connected to the ancestors. We have, as I said, Easter also has some connections to ancestor worship. Like, for example, in Serbia, you would at Easter you would put food on graves and also eat at the cemetery. So like you're sharing this meal with your ancestors. In other in some Slavic countries, it disappeared, but I'm pretty sure it was there before. So some people today see the vernal Dziady as a happy celebration of the souls, like the ancestral souls that are coming back to earth from like the other world called Virai. I talk a bit about it in my World Tree video, also on this playlist, if you're curious. But anyway, there is this image of like when you die, part of you goes like, let's say upwards, goes up, and the other part goes to the underworld. And then the part that went up comes back to reincarnate. So anyway, and then in this view, the autumn Dziady would be the celebration of the ancestors that are in Navia, so in the underworld. And people would put offerings of food and alcohol on the graves. And as I said, it happens in some Slavic countries still. In others, it got replaced by offerings of flowers. And what was also very important, bonfires would be lit on the graves. And this is still a very important part. Of course, I'm talking mostly about Poland because that's what I'm most familiar with. And these two that you can see here, these are like special candles that we put on graves. They are covered so that they can like stay outside and not be blown out. So those bonfires, of course, they were condemned by the church as other pagan customs, but it just persisted. The custom of putting fire or light on the graves is present in modern day. So even if you don't have flowers, if you just want to visit the grave for a moment, the major thing that you would bring in Poland would be the special candle. So you would light it and then pray a bit. That's how you visit graves in Poland. So yeah, as I said, prayer, I think it's like a modern equivalent of the old custom of communicating with the dead, because people who wanted to talk to their ancestors would go to cemeteries and try to talk with their dead. And of course it was forbidden by the church. However, still when we visit graves we usually pray, so there is some kind of spiritual connection there. To finish with the lights, with the fire, it was lit so that the souls can find their way to us and get warmed up, so that you imagine them as traveling from afar and from Navia, and then coming to see you and get warmed by the fire, and the fire is showing them the way to you, so that they don't get lost on the way. So it was believed that on those special days, such as Dziady, the souls could visit us. What I also wanted to say, recently I watched some video on YouTube, and there was this topic about how people who live in New Zealand or Australia, they are not always decided when they should celebrate, for example, Samhain, and there was something about that. Yeah, the veil is thinning in the northern hemisphere. Then maybe it's thinning also on the southern hemisphere. Because why shouldn't it? Why should it be just the half of the planet Earth? And I totally agree, especially in the light of those old Slavic customs that put two major ancestor celebrations on the two opposite sides of the wheel of the year, right? So we have the beginning of November and the beginning of May. So it's absolutely I think the veil is thinning twice, and it doesn't matter you know what tradition you follow. You can celebrate it twice, actually. But that's a bit off topic. To continue with visiting graves, the flowers that we put on the graves are usually chrysanthemums, asters. I really wanted to have asters this year on my ancestors' altar, because so that, just so you know, I live abroad, so I simply cannot visit my family graves. So I created this altar here at my home. So I wanted the asters because I really, yeah, they are autumnal flowers, and I really connect them to the Dziady celebrations. I mean, the All Saints Day, also Souls Day that I grew up with. But they only had like really huge, enormous pots with them, and so I settled with heather and cyclamen. Anyway, so also dried flowers or artificial flowers would be put on the graves, often in forms of wreaths. And a wreath is a really powerful symbol, and really it appears all the time in Slavic traditions and myth. What we do before All Saints Day, which is November the 1st, and All Souls Day, which is November the 2nd, we are cleaning the graves. We are putting those flowers and candles also before Easter and Christmas too. I mean, some people do that. In my family, it's customary. Also for Easter and Christmas. So yeah, anyway, you prepare the graves for the celebrations. And the Catholic Church adapted the old traditions of Europe, as I said, into All Saints Day and All Souls Day. For example, in Poland, on November the 1st, we have a Mass at the cemetery. So people would not leave the cemetery around this time to be in the church, so the church moved the celebration to the cemetery. And I think that in Poland it's the third most important holiday. November the 1st is a free day, it's a holiday, and people travel to visit families, like sometimes through the whole Poland, and it's very, very crowded in the trains and on the streets, on the roads. In some cities you get like additional bus lines. They are provided so that people can go to the cemetery. So those special buses, they travel to the city, the bigger cemeteries. And what I also wanted to say that the All Souls Day, so because November the 1st is free, people don't have to go to work. They all the celebrations, depending on when the weekend is, they happen around this time. So if October 31st is on a Sunday or Saturdays, people start visiting graves then. And so yeah, so the church like stresses out that the November the 1st is about All Saints, and November the 2nd is about the All Souls, so all the dead. But yeah, it all merges into one celebration, really. And what I wanted to say is that if you ever have the opportunity to visit a cemetery after it gets dark, when it's already dark, around November the 1st, do it. The view is breathtaking. Like almost every grave is lit up by those lamps. And it's just breathtaking. It's amazing. I also wanted to talk a little bit about how graves look in Poland, because I realized that they are different from, like, it is different from country to country. So from what I've seen on pictures in the States, a very common shape for the grave is like only the tombstone, like sticking out. Oh, sorry, sticking out like from the earth directly. And what we have in Poland, what is most common, is the tombstone plus this part that is like, you know, table-like part. I will try to put a photo there so you have the image. And very often we also have pictures, photos of people who are buried there. I thought that maybe it's like, it would be cool if it's like a continuation of so-called kraboszki. These were masks that were made for Dziady and Baby celebrations, and they symbolized the ancestors, and also I think people who wore them, because there are some, we have some records of like that you would, people who took part in the celebrations would wear the masks. I suppose it's also to like for this moment become one with your ancestors. So we don't have those masks anymore. I mean, modern Slavic pagans do, but it's not in the mainstream culture anymore. But as I said, it's very common to have pictures of the buried people on the graves. And those table-like parts, they often get turned into like a huge flower pot. You can put soil on top of it, and many people do that, and then grow flowers there. For example, like pansies or marigolds. And we also very often have family graves. So, you know, one grave is used for various members of the family. It's not like everyone is separate. Yeah, a grave without any lamp, especially on around November the 1st, is a sad view. And I don't know about all the Polish people, but I think that many of us, when see this, we think it's sad, and then we just put a lamp there and light it for this grave that has not been honored, so that, you know, especially around this time of the year, all of the dead get this light on their graves. And what else did I want to talk about? Oh, if you're into gaming, I've been mentioning this game before, but it's an amazing game, and I think it does a great thing to promote Slavic traditions, actually. Not only Slavic, but yeah, there are many Slavic accents there. In Witcher 3, we get to participate in a ceremony of forefathers. And the scene itself that is in the game, it is based on a very famous poem in Polish literature that was based on like real rituals that the poet witnessed in 19th century. So he witnessed it, he got inspired, and he wrote this poem. And then this poem is the inspiration for the scene in the game. And what it is about is mostly about sharing food and fire with the ghosts, like people are calling the ghosts, and so that they can give them closure. So there are some like dead people that their ghosts come, and they tell their story, and then afterwards they can get closure. So yeah, I thought it's an interesting thing. And lastly, my story with this holiday, because when I still lived in Poland, you know, I never really enjoyed it. You know, I never would have thought I would miss it when I moved abroad, because it's at least in Poland, it's a pretty like a gloomy celebration. It's not really happy. Like I said, the celebrations in spring were more happy, and those autumn celebrations probably were more melancholic. So yeah, All Saints' Day in Poland, it's a very solemn, very melancholic holiday, and until you move out, you do not realize it's a very unique celebration. You just don't realize it. So yeah, right now I really miss it. So I want to, you know, take part in it any way I can. And yeah, that's how it is for me. You know, I'm a person who did not grow up with Halloween because it was still not really known in Poland. So I know that many people really, you know, get excited about Halloween because it reminds them of their childhood, and it's fun, and it's, yeah, it is just awesome fun. But for me, it's a very distant thing because I never, you know, trick or treated. So it's a kind of new thing to me. I wonder how it will be with my son. I think that in Switzerland, where I live, it's also not a big thing. It's somewhere there on the more, you know, commercial side. That is not to say that I did not dress up in weird clothes when I was a kid. It was more for the carnival balls, which are still kind of traditional in Poland. So for the carnival ball, you would dress up. I would usually dress up some kind of Lady Spring, I think. That was my thing. But yeah, the Halloween, I think most people don't really have time for Halloween, like to fully celebrate Halloween in Poland, because they are busy traveling all around the country and meeting with family. Because yeah, the important thing is that once you like visit the graves and you are all cold and yeah, the weather is usually not very nice, then you visit your living family in that area and you eat and drink together and you celebrate. So yeah, this is my 2 cents on this time of the year. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please ask. And I wish you a blessed Samhain, blessed Dziady i Baby, and lots of fun for Halloween. Take care. Bye.